Hi y'all, it's Sandy McTier. Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to paint and create, and the star of this lesson is DecoArt Metallic Lustres. If you've not used them, you're in for a great surprise. The shimmer and shine that you can add to your projects is simply amazing, and the possibilities are endless. So let's get started. Today we're going to be creating this Dragonfly mixed media project with metallic lustres and media fluid acrylics. Okay, so I'm just going to take this is a 1-inch flat brush, and just get my canvas nice and wet. This will help the paint that we're about to put on move a little bit better. And I was kind of thinking this Monet garden water scene with the dragonfly over it, so that's what we're going to create today. We're going to be using the metallic misters. This is shimmer turquoise. And so look how beautiful this goes on, and that water will help let it spread right through that water. Gorgeous colors. And then we're going to use primary cyan. And then we're going to use some shimmer yellow. And that blue and yellow will make beautiful green. But I'm going to add a little bit more green to it. This is the yellow-green mister. Just get a little bit more of that nice yellow-green color in there. And then I want to put a little bit more of the cyan down here. Maybe a little bit more of that yellow. Okay, you can kind of play around with it. But the cool thing is we're going to take our brush now and get it a little bit wet. Well, very wet, a little bit wet, and I'm going to move these colors around. So I don't want to get too much into my yellow where I want it brighter, but I'm going to take that blue and yellow, give it a little bit of a mix here and there. Okay, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of purple. So this is the purple mister, and this I'm just going to take the lid off because I just want a couple little drops here and there of the purple. Come back to my brush, mix that with a little bit of that blue. And every time you do this, you're going to get something different. The great thing about it is if you don't like it, it's very thin. All you have to do is take a baby wipe, kind of get it right down to the canvas, and you can paint right over it. But look how beautiful those colors just kind of blend and move right into each other. They'll be thinner in some areas, lighter in others, and you just kind of want to move it around. Let those paint colors mix. Okay, so usually just take my finger and a brush that's wet maybe and do the edges, but we're not going to worry about the edges right now. So what I'm going to do is I want to dry it just a bit. I like using a heat gun because you can get some really cool effects with the heat gun, and then we're going to splatter it with some water so we get some more texture in that water. Okay, so I just sketched out a little dragonfly shape here with the wings and the body. Just a rough little sketch. You can always look at free clip art, find a dragonfly body that you can use transfer paper and transfer that onto your canvas. Okay. All right, so what I want to do first is I'm going to put out some media fluid. This is Payne's Gray, and I'm going to get my number 8 flat. Find that here. Okay, so my number 8 flat, get that wet. Wipe it off. All right, and I'm going to side load, so just very little on that one corner. I have a little bit of water in my brush so that that paint will move, but it is very fluid, so it will move for you. A little touch of water will help it move a little bit more. Okay, and so what I want to do is I want to float this color just to do a little soft outline of my wings. And see how my brush is kind of at an angle and it's flat. The corner that has Payne's Gray is floating right along that line. I'm just coming back and picking up a little bit more on that corner. The brush is flat. Ooh, a little bit too much water. That water will migrate, that paint will migrate through the brush if you have a whole bunch of water, so you don't want too much water in it. Let me get my hand out of the way for you. And so again, my brush is flat. There we go. So a little bit of an outline. You could do this with a liner brush, but I like the bleed that the water does with the paint. So it's a little bit heavier color on that line, and then as it bleeds through that water, it just kind of softens that line a little bit. Side load as often as you need to pick up more paint. Brush is flat, corners following along that line. Pick up a little bit more water. Side load that one corner. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and reload that corner, and I'm just going to do a slight little outline of the body. Okay, and then we're going to give it two little eyes. I'm not too worried about the pencil lines. Those will go away when I start painting the dragonfly in. And a little half circle. So I just did 3 circles. A little half circle for the nose, 2 circles for the eyes. All right. I use a 3/4. You could use a 12. I'm going to get that wet. Side load one corner. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the shadow. Now this is on the outside of the wing. The corner that has paint is right next to that line, just below the wing. And I'm just going to add in a little bit of shadow right below it. Reload the brush just on that one corner, and I'm going to come right down the body. And this can be a little bit wider band of color. Let's kind of cast a little bit of a shadow on the water. A little under that wing. And let's just do a slight one over here. This brush will allow you to have a wider band of paint That water will carry it out, and it just gradates in color, so you get that nice shadow, the darker right at the point where it meets the wing. Okay, so let's do a couple of base colors, and then we'll get into using the metallic lusters, which I love using in my painting on dragonflies, butterflies, hummingbirds, and I'll show you a couple other cool things you can do with it. So let's go ahead and color in the body, and for that we're going to use sap green. Okay, so I'm just going to take my number 8 flat, and remember this is a little goes a long way, so I don't need a whole bunch, but I'm going to paint in the entire body. Kind of lay that color in. Wipe off my brush. And then I'm going to come back and side load a little bit of the Payne's Gray. I'm just going to make a couple little separations. So maybe his body is there. And the next thing we're going to do is let's paint in the wings. Now we want these to be transparent, and you can put in some vein lines now if you choose. I'm going to use this 2/0 faux Kolinsky liner, which I love, and put a little bit of water in it and pick up just a little bit on the tip of that brush of the Payne's Gray. Just a little bit, and very inky. Okay, so it helps if you can anchor your pinky and just get, and if you shake, great, that you will get some awesome little vein lines in here. And I'm just going to purposefully shake my hand to get these little lines that go from the base of the wing here out to the edges and to the tip. Nothing too dark, very faint in color, so it's more water than paint. If you get too much, just touch it with your finger. See how it pushes it down, that color down into the canvas. So we want to make sure that all the vein lines are completely dry, and we're going to use translucent white over the wings right now. So I'm going to get my number 8 wet and come to that paint with water in it so we can make it even more translucent and more inky. And what I want to do is just with the flat of my brush, try not to go over it too many times, and just lay on that translucent white right over the wings. So as few strokes as possible, just so that you don't disrupt all that other paint that we have on there, in case any of it is wet. So we're going to let these dry, and let me show you what you can do on the body just to give it a little bit of texture. We're using this drywall tape, sticky on one side, and we're just going to lay that down right over the body. You can get some really cool techniques using that tape with paint, but we're going to use it with the metallic lusters. Let me show you. We're going to use lavish green. I'm just going to run my finger through it, get a nice bit on my finger there. And I'm just going to run that through the tape. I'm going to skip a couple sections and then lift that up. And look how cool. You just get some really neat texture from that metallic luster through the tape. The cool thing is when you wet it, there's it activates that metallic luster. So I'm going to take my finger, dip it in the water, and in a couple places where I have the green, I'm going to run my finger around to give it a little bit of shimmer. And the great thing about the metallic luster is it's transparent. Unless I want it to be opaque and put a heavy layer of it on. But when you water that down and activate the paste, you get a beautiful little shimmer and shine that you probably won't be able to see until it's dry. All right, so I'm going to use Brilliant Turquoise next. Let's get some of that out. You can tell it's one of my favorite colors. It's almost gone. And then in the sections where I did not do the green, I'm going to put a little bit of this blue. If you get any over the edges, don't worry, you can take a wet brush, clean that up. I just want to push that through the tape. I didn't get enough up here, so let's put that back down. There we go. I want that to really show up. Okay, so again, I'm going to wet my finger. I'm going to add some of this color. Let's see if I can show you that close up. You just get that beautiful shimmer. Just little crystals going through the water. So wet your finger. Add that here and there, so none of it goes to waste. Okay, and you always want to make sure that you put the lid back on your lusters. They will dry out if you don't. And then I'm going to side load that brush with a little bit of Payne's Gray. And let's come back in and redefine some of our little sections here. All right, so let's finish up the body. I'm going to get a little bit of green gold. And we'll just use that translucent white. And then a little bit of Hansa Yellow Light. Okay, so we have a little green gold, a little bit of that translucent white. And I'm just going to brush a little bit of this right here in the center, and then just use my finger to kind of tap that around. A little bit on the eyes, a little bit on the nose. Okay, then I'm going to pick up a little yellow and a little bit of that white. Let's just make a little brighter spot right in the center here. If it's moving around too much for you, you can let the green dry and then come back and add the yellow and the white. Alright, okay, one of the prettiest things on Dragonfly wings are all the different shimmers and colors that you can see, and I love it when I see purple on them, so we're going to use a little bit of this Majestic Purple Metallic Lustre. My brush is slightly damp. I'm going to pick that up, brush that on in a couple places. You just get this beautiful transparent little shimmer. It will keep the wings transparent because it's thinned with the water. And just a couple places here and there. I'm not really worried if it's exactly the same on both sides, just as long as we have the same color. Let's use the Elegant Emerald. And again, my brush is wet. Just going to run that right onto the metallic luster there. And now this is a pretty strong color, so I'm just going to tap it in with the corner of my brush. I feel like I need a little bit more water to get it to move around. And just kind of zigzag it in and out of that other, the purple, and it won't leave a harsh line where the two meet. And blend them slightly. Alright. And then let's use a little bit of the Lavish Green. Again, just with the corner of the brush, I'm just kind of putting it here and there. All right, and one last color, our brilliant turquoise. A little bit of water. And I have a lot of blue in that area, so I'm not going to add too much to it, but I do want to see some of that turquoise in the wing. Okay. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of the Emerald Metallic Lustre again, and let's put a little bit, oh yes, right there on the body. A little bit on the eyes. I think I'm even going to brush a little bit of that down the center of his body. Love how that just punched that color right up. Once the wings are completely dry, that metallic luster is dry, I'm going to come back with the liner brush and get very inky Payne's Gray, and I can kind of fix up any area that maybe I completely lost with the veins. Again, you want them feather light, very thin, very inky, so that you barely see those through that color. Okay, so let's put a little highlight on the body, a little highlight on the eyes. I'm going to put a little highlight with this transparent white, just a little bit on the top of the wings. Okay, and then I think I will do a little line just with the corner of that brush, just to highlight that a little bit. Okay, so look at that beautiful shimmer and shine to the dragonfly wings on the body. Just gorgeous. And again, they're transparent. I can still see through down to the color of the water. And speaking of the water, you can actually give that a little bit more of that metallic look by adding the metallic lustres to the water, kind of in the areas where that color is from the media fluids that we used. So blues in the blues, green in the green, just to kind of keep it looking a little bit more natural, but very sparkly and pretty. So another thing you can use to give a little bit more watery, glassy look is some DecoArt texture glass, or leave this a little bit more muted, the water area, and on the wings put the DecoArt Media liquid glass just along the wings. Would look beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more of that purple that kind of got lost. Pick up some water, let that kind of shimmer and shine here and there, and use your finger to help spread it out. See, get that water in there, and look how it just kind of crystallizes, shimmers and shines. Don't be afraid to get those fingers dirty. Okay, another great thing to do with the metallic lustres is push them through a stencil. So I have one of these DecoArt stencils. I'm going to, I think I'm going to use Calm, and I just taped around that word so that I don't get the paste anywhere else. And you want to make sure that your canvas is completely dry. Okay, so we just want to put that down. And I think I'm going to use the brilliant turquoise. I think we'll show it very pretty here. So you just really want to load your finger with that metallic luster. Hold your stencil down, and then you want to push that through. Lift that up. Yes, love that. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take my liner brush, and I want these to stand out just a little bit more. So you can actually go in and give it a little bit of a shadow if you want. Give this a little bit more shine. So I'm going to take some Silver Spark Metallic Lustre, and I'm going to push that through this drywall tape that we had, just in a couple places here and there. I'm going to add some silver just to give it a little bit more of a shine. Love. And you just want to move your finger kind of all the way around. I don't want there to be any straight lines, so I'm going, you know, up, down, sideways, all different ways so that I can get that to look more like a blob instead of a straight line of tape. We don't need too much. A little over on the wing. But just here and there to add a little bit more of that sparkle and shine from the metallic luster. I'm going to wet my finger and get that silver wet. Run that a little bit on my palette here. And I'm actually going to run that a little bit over the wings to get a little bit more of that shimmer and shine. Again, it's thin and transparent, so you'll be able to see those other colors that we put on. And the glisten of that silver. Okay. Look how beautiful. All those different colors in the wings. The purples, the greens, the media fluids underneath, just layers of yummy goodness there. Okay, so I hope that inspired you to give the DecoArt Metallic Lustres a try. Use it in your mixed media projects, your craft projects, your watercolors and decorative painting. Really, the possibilities are endless. I hope you have fun. Happy painting! Here are a couple other ideas that you can use the metallic luster on. I created this frame with some modeling paste, and then I put chalky finish paint over it, and then the metallic lusters just give it that beautiful sheen and shine. It picks up where all that modeling paste was. The really cool thing though is on my leaf. I just took a stencil, a diamond stencil. This is a Patricia Rawlinson diamond stencil, and I put it down and I pressed one color of the metallic luster through, which was Copper Kettle, and then I moved the stencil over just a bit and I used orange flicker. So I used Copper Kettle and orange flicker on that wood leaf, and it just gave it some great dimension and shine. Once that's completely dry, I just went around the edge with some Gold Rush metallic luster, and then when it was all said and done, dry, before I attached it, I buffed it with a soft rag. That will kind of set that metallic luster for you. So it just would make a great gift to give somebody with a picture in it for Thanksgiving, maybe a quote, put some burlap in there with some writing on it. So another cool way to add some of that luster into your paintings is, let's see if you can see it. Can you see in that water how beautiful the blues are? So I just did this little painting on a 6x6 canvas, and I added some of that shimmer and shine into the water, and then also into the sand, just a little bit of texture sand, and I added some champagne ice, I believe. And so you get little crystallized sparkles like you see in real sand. So don't be afraid to use that in your paintings. Add a little bit of shimmer and shine to it. This was Debbie Cotton inspired. She did a painting with modeling paste, and so I just wanted to kind of give it a try, and I created these trees and the swirly sky and the snowbank, all with the modeling paste, and let that dry. And then I came back with the metallic lusters and I painted the trees. I painted in the swirls in the sky with some of the purple, that majestic purple, the brilliant turquoise, and then finished it off with a little bit of silver. Just brushed that over, and you can see it picked up on all those raised bits, and just gives it a nice, beautiful little sheen to that landscape.